Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti.
And don't you just love how I brought in our studio audience today? Those are my friends and family, y'all. They're here to clap it up and celebrate this great girlfriend magic that is happening here on the show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy. All right, great girlfriends. I feel like we're about to have a really mega uber amazing sofa chat. I am here today with the Luvvie Ajayi Jones, who is the professional troublemaker, instant New York Times bestselling author. And I mean instant. That book went to number 3 in no time. I mean, I literally was flipping the pages, preparing for the interview, and got an email saying, hey, by the way, we're at number 3. It's at number 3. So make sure it's at number 3. Which is absolutely amazing. A 2-time bestseller. First book is I'm Judging You. She's a podcast host, internationally renowned speaker. She's also a great girlfriend, and she's all around now officially a truth sayer, according to Beyonce. So I want to celebrate you, Luvvie, and welcome you to the Great Girlfriends.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God. This is like such a privilege, such a treat. I have paid attention to all of your journey for as long as I've listened to Rants and Randomness. Oh my God. I've listened to you and Yvonne talk about rice. I've listened to y'all talk about the professional journey. I've, just watched and also been a part of the Love Nation and been a part of your Twitter conversations, watched the TED Talk. Listen, I know New York Times might be instant, but there's a whole bunch of work that goes into this. So I want to just give you that slow, glorious slow clap for being someone who's been faithful and diligent to the calling, because I know it's hard.
Thank you so much. I'm an 18-year overnight success.
Right. So, okay, first things first, what did Mama say? Or who did you call first? Let's go there. Who did you call first?
My mom and my sister. I put them on 3-way.
Okay.
I was like, my mom was like, number 3? That's even better than the first book. That was number 5. And I was like, right. Imagine that.
I love that. I love it. What did hubby have to say?
He was like, I knew it.
See, that's a rider right there.
So he basically was like, he said the price of the brick just went up.
Yes, hubby. Yes. I love that.
He was like, now you got to get 2 of everything. That's what he said.
I love it. Isn't that awesome? It's so good to have that support by your side as you journey through all of this, because, I mean, as you know, no one is made alone, and it takes a village, but also takes, really great partnership when you are in a romantic relationship. So really having the right partner, you can stay up late, write books, get up early, do speeches, record podcasts, travel the world, and have it all, right?
It takes a village. It takes a village.
It takes a village. I love it. Okay, so listen, being a professional troublemaker, I know that has not been easy. I know that has been complex. I read about you saying you had imposter syndrome. You wanted to quit on certain things. You even want to go to medical school. But you're sitting right where you're supposed to be. I feel like do you feel like you're in your destiny? Because I'm on the outside saying, girl, you in your destiny.
I do. I feel like I am definitely walking in my purpose.
Yeah.
Every day, every single day.
How did you decide that, this, professional troublemaker would be the name, the stage, the platform, the campaign, the movement for this book?
I think it was just right in front of my face. That's the first sentence in my TED Talk is I'm a professional troublemaker.
Yeah.
And it's basically what I do is I make good trouble. Like the late, great John Lewis says, my work, my voice, and my persona and who I am just in general is I'm the person who can't be quiet if I see something around me that's not okay. And I think my work speaks to that. So professional troublemaker just felt like the natural and organic thing.
Yeah. It's very true to your message. It's true to your tone. It's true to your approach. It's true to your not on my watch. It's true to your village mindset. It's true to you being a truth sayer. Was it always that way? Was little girl Luvvie the professional child troublemaker?
I actually was.
Yeah.
Like I've basically been this person all my life because I was basically I wasn't told to change who I was, you know, and whatever the world tried to throw at me, I didn't receive it and accept it. And I think that's been a gift. That's been a major gift because it's allowed me to really move in this world true to myself, true to who I am, and do what feels right and what feels good and what feels truthful.
That's so important. It's so important because there's the authentic you, and then there's the part of you that everybody wants. There's the other part, what they want to call you, what they want you to be. And it's so many of us have fallen into living up to everyone else's expectation of who we are and never really getting to experience the benefit or the glory of living a dream.
Exactly. And I think we just basically have to give ourselves permission in the moment. The world will not, you know,
Girl.
Us waiting for the world to give us permission, we'd be waiting forever. So in that time, you gotta wait for nobody and just give yourself the permission.
Yeah. Speaking of permission, I want to get into this book because I was reading and I have my little stickies and I was like, don't mess it up, Sybil. But then I have other copies. So I was like, all right, you can scratch this one up. But there was all these notes that I have in here. And I want to go into this being audacious enough to dream. You said being audacious enough to dream means discovering the courage to think your life can be bigger than you can even imagine. But often we don't get there because we are afraid of what happens when hope doesn't pan out. We fear how disappointed or how heartbroken we will be. Girl, that fear factor is like, it's holding a bunch of people in a bunch of places, a bunch of relationships, a bunch of cities, a bunch of situations, all the things, right? And so, you know, I want you to talk a little bit about that audacity, because I think that that is one of the words, if we dare take on the word audacious and live out audaciously, I think we start to see so much more of what God has in store for us.
Absolutely. I think it's important to be audacious because of the fact that it's just the idea that you can want something bigger than what you have right now, or that you have the right to ask for what you really want, whatever it is, whether it's small or big. It's, audacious is the word for me for 2021. And it's almost like a life mantra. It's a commitment to, you know, not forgetting to dream, not being afraid of disappointment, and not waiting for the path before you say, oh, I do want that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's so many of us want the bigger, want more, want to go after it, but don't have the commitment to the work. And like you said, that instant overnight success was not in a year. It wasn't a month. This is taking some time and some devotion. So audacity is not like a spurt of energy, right? I feel like you in order to do the marathon, you got to remain audacious in your belief.
Absolutely. You have to really believe deeply in yourself.
Yeah.
Again, in the times when other people might not, you have to really believe in yourself and say, okay, this might sound weird. Nobody might know the path to it, but I'm still going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Isn't that something? So being a pioneer and a trailblazer, because even in that, you know, I would say like the way that you sort of radicalized blogging and you radicalized communication style on Twitter, you made it vivacious and energetic, and you inserted all the inflections and emotion and all the things that people were thinking you were willing to say out loud and be bold and commit to. What happens when people try to push you into a corner? What do they get from Luvvie?
Ooh, good question.
Right? When they try to back you in the corner and say, Luvvie, you're doing too much. You're too audacious, Luvvie.
Well, they probably won't say it to my face.
Right.
That's the thing. People won't say it to my face because they're ultimately saying that I have to be less.
Yeah.
And that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
So people won't say it to my face, but it's not for me to also take on, you know, it's not for me to internalize. Other people's ideas of me is really not my business. And I think it's something that we need to know and we need to internalize that.
That other people's ideas of who we are, that's not our business. That is not our, that is so important. Somebody's put that on a sweatshirt, the mug, the billboard, put it somewhere. Very important that it's not our business what other people say, think, or feel. We have to commit to what we believe. That is so super true. And then, Lovey, you talk about this, and this is important because you talk a lot about your village, and you live with a very closely connected village, a sisterhood, a tribe of people who believe, think, and feel, and are aligned in the same way that you are in their quest for life. Which actually, I see that you said in your email about truth sayers, this is rarefied air, and that you are so happy to be there with women that you share space with, that you love and respect, and that you also happen to know. So talk a little bit about that allyship in mindset, because that is an essential piece to me.
So allyship is a verb.
Mm-hmm.
And it means action.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's in friendship, whether it's at work, whether it's just out in the world, it means that you will take action that serves somebody else, not just you.
Yeah. Yes. So good. So good. And we see the evidence of that in the truth sayers that have been outlined, and even in troublemakers, people that you might see or regard as a troublemaker in their professional space. You do understand that they're putting their neck or their life on the line for other people to advance a mission or a calling. And I love that. So thank you for really highlighting that action is the biggest piece of that allyship. So
Indeed.
I'm about to jump into your prayer life. All right.
All right.
You said on page 119, my prayers need to change. You said, as I grow and my career grows, I need to say stronger prayers. There's nothing I can really do besides try to always be thoughtful and learn from my mistakes, but I can't say I will never make a mistake again. So if I make the next mistake, does that mean I am now not going to be knocked off of my square for the next year because all these arrows decide to point at me? I'm also going to pray to be fortified in the instances with people call me what I'm not, because it's not going to stop. I can say the sky is blue tomorrow and somebody might be offended by it, right? If they choose to be offended by it, they will be offended by it, because that is their whole choice. You didn't write that part. That's my part. What are the prayers, Lovey? What are we saying when we're in those knee-deep moments with God?
I mean, it's different. I think it's different. I think those prayers are different. And for me, like, my prayers are personal, because it's like when I say them, it really is for that moment. Mm-hmm. It's not, I don't have a set prayer necessarily in the storm. It's for what is happening in that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so as well. And have you ever experienced a point where you didn't have words, but you just have feelings? And
of course, I think everybody has. And in those moments, you just sit in them.
You sit in them.
You just sit in them and just let them be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the powerful point, because I think that's like the most vulnerable space where, you and God are just trading air, and it's not even about the words. It's about the presence, which is
exactly.
Yeah. That's the carrier. That's actually the one that takes you from level to level.
Absolutely.
You talk about knowing who you are and where you come from, and who do we come from? Who do we claim? Who do we belong to? This who isn't just about the last names we carry or the legacy of our lineage. I firmly affirm the fact that I belong to a crew of dope ass friends too. I want to talk about the crew of the dope ass friends too. The 5 closest, and how having proximity has empowered you and reinforced you.
I am surrounded by amazing women who celebrate me, who challenge me, who make me think more, think different, who just are elevators for me. And I think they are constantly inspire me. They inspire me to show up better, be better. I learn from them always. And I'm just emboldened by who they are. And the people who we're around the most will normalize what we think is possible. And my friends normalize winning. They normalize, boldness. They normalize cheering each other on without a problem. And it's such a gift.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To normalize winning is a PowerPoint. That sets the expectation that on my watch, on your watch, if we're sharing proximity, if we're sharing village, if we know who we belong to, then we should all power the next person to win. I love that. Normalize winning. I love that. So that means you're normalizing superiority, but never the inferior space, always knowing that you can go higher, do better, work harder. Yeah, trust more. I love this. So I want to talk a little bit more about that, that trusting where you are. And I know there were times in the journey where you may have felt like, how much longer? Will it ever? What will break for me? Or with some of those things that, where doubt tries to kick in and tell you, Lovey, go back to go to medical school, girl. You're a good old Nigerian girl. You're supposed to be an accountant. You're supposed to pursue all of these other things that other people would have imagined, right? So how did you get to a place where you decided that you were where you were supposed to be and you trusted it?
I mean, I think it's less of a looking for the breakthrough and more of just putting my head down and doing the work. I think over the years, even in the moments when I'm like, I should be already a different place, I use it to drive me. And I just use it to do work that excited me, work that I loved. And it's also knowing that the work is sometimes not affirmed in the way you think it should be affirmed. That doesn't mean it's not good. Yeah. It doesn't mean it's not valid or necessary. And you just got to keep doing it. Whether or not people are applauding, when nobody's watching, are you still doing the work? And I think that part matters a lot.
It does. That devotion it really sometimes boils down to between you and God, right? It's like, okay, I'm not here for the applause, the people, the lights, the cameras. That mission in your heart, I think that is really powerful that you are speaking to that and putting your head down doing the work. That's a good thing. We've gotten to a point in the world where people want to just zip right to the front. They want to just run up front and just hold the mic and have it all in the moment. But to put the head down and do the work, that gives you the longevity, gives you the ability to sustain, and to sit here and be comfortable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Luvvie, what does success mean to you before and what does it mean to you now?
I'm not sure if I don't think my definition of success has really ever changed. Okay. I've never tied it to how much money I made. I just think success is living life on my own terms. And whatever that means, like I'm choosing the life that I want to live, that for me is success. Yeah.
So does that include adding more books to the portfolio, adding movies, adding more content, more film, adding film?
I have no clue. I don't actually have any 5-year plan. I want to be doing this thing. No, I think maybe next year I'll say a movie, maybe not, and I'm kind of open to what on my own terms looks like. Every year it might change. Some year I might not want to do any of that. I just want to chill. So I'm open. I am wide open to what it means and what I could create or not create and what life I can design or not design and just kind of watch what comes.
So what have you learned to say yes to?
To myself, And sometimes that looks like saying no to everybody else. Often that looks like saying no to everybody else. So learning to prioritize me above all else is really important.
So good. Saying yes to yourself. That's the gateway to all this dopeness that you put in your do's and don'ts of of being a professional troublemaker. Half the battle is with our own self, our own securities, and our own baggage. That's a whole sermon. That'll preach.
Absolutely.
That'll preach. Know thyself. Don't be afraid to stand in your full self. Oh my goodness. Self-awareness to me is the second greatest gift. I mean, salvation for me, being with God, is the first, but self-awareness, knowing yourself, I think that opens the door for you to be the best and to amplify and sit in the space where you can take a name, a title like professional troublemaker and what comes along with that. So I love that. I want to get into this Oriki. Am I saying that properly? I love that. I read it and I read yours. I was like, that is so super fire. That is so super fire. I love the idea of a phrase that praises you and praises your kinship and speaking life into your destiny. So when one is writing this, are you doing this with the village? Are you doing this by yourself? How many times a year do you write these?
It's not something that's ever changing. You don't just write yourself one all the time. Yeah. I think you write it one time. and it's just really a way to hype yourself up. But I think a traditional Oriki, though, is one that is literally tied to your lineage, in that it's passed down generation to generation. So you don't have to sit there changing anything. But the one that I'm asking people to write for themselves, you write it one time and just have it on hand to remind yourself of how amazing you are, especially in those moments when you need the boost, when you need the ego boost, because whoever knows, or however way something happened that day, it might have made you upset. But I think it's just good to have, because it does gas you up. It does make you feel like you are worth love and great things and all of that. And I want that for people.
I want that too. I read yours and I was like, I don't think mine is like, I think I need to sit with the language for a second and feel it a bit more. I was overthinking it, Luvvie, and I made it too short and I didn't like it. It didn't match me. I was like, it's too limiting. I got to go back. So look, I was like, there needs to be a class on this. That you should put that on one of you. One of your list of things is there needs to be a class on writing and laying that thing out, making it really authentic. I missed a boat on mine. I'm going to go back and adjust it and make it feel true, because it didn't feel all the way real to me.
Yeah. See, it's supposed to be feeling true. It's supposed to actually be something that makes you proud to read. If you feel like it's too limiting, then it's absolutely too limiting. And then maybe you actually try to help also figure out, why did you make it limiting?
Yeah.
This is an exercise that is asking of you to throw humility away. Just don't, this is not the time to be like, what if don't overthink it. It is just what it is. And then put it on paper.
I'm going to work on it. That's homework. I received that. I received that. That's going to happen. I'm going to switch that up. I'm going to make sure my language fits who I am and what I see, like the full vision of what I see.
Yeah. It shouldn't be limiting. This is a moment, and it's something that you don't also have to share with anybody if you don't want to. So if you're afraid of judgment, it's not for everybody to consume if you don't want them to.
Have you done that for your marriage, like for your family? I just thought about that. Is it something you've done for your your family structure?
No.
It's just a personal.
I think it's personal. I don't think you necessarily need it for your family. I think this is, again, my Yoruba lineage we have our own Oriki, like my family, we do. But again, this exercise is not, it's about you.
Got it. Okay. That's the work for me. Here's my last one, because I know I can't hold you all day, but I do want to get into the power of mentorship and the power of proximity one more time. You spoke again and again in the book about the list, and you've also spoken about asking for help and having mentorship and just making sure that you open yourself up to mentorship. What have been, or who have been some of the mentors that have helped you along the way to really bloom when the time was right?
It's hard for me to even just name one thing. I think mentorship, what people need to understand is mentorship is not just the people in your life who you're like, oh my God, that's my mentor.
Yeah.
There are some people who you've never met. Mentorship is not about, who has even made a phone call on your behalf. I'm like, Absolutely. Who have you learned from? Who has inspired you? And I have a countless number of people who've inspired me, who I look to and I learn from. I think I'm a forever student. So there's something to learn from everybody. I could rattle off a list of 30 people, but I just think I pick up mentorship from everywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of them are literally people who I've never met, who I've just followed on social media, who I just watch how they move and how they navigate the world. And then some are people who I can call and say, hey, I need this thing. Do you know somebody who can provide it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm constantly affirmed by amazing women who are my soft place to land.
So good. And then having a community of people that you can just call on and ask, say, hey, I'm looking to do this. I'm growing here. What are some of the things? Investing in community, because when you mentioned the list a few times, it reminds me of some strategic alliances that I have that have been gateways for me. And how important has that been for you along the way as well?
Yeah, I think that's I don't necessarily think of them as strategic alliances because I usually don't go into something with the strategy in mind. Mm-hmm. I think I really kind of operate with the idea of who feels right for me to connect to. Mm-hmm. And then maybe we will create something dope if it's aligned. But yeah, like I've had a lot of partnerships and just even random conversations that have led to something greater, which is what lets me know that I kind of need to keep moving in that way. Mm-hmm. I think we are always open to opportunities that can drop at our lap. We're always open to relationships that can grow, friendships or otherwise. Mm-hmm. And we just got to honor that piece. So I'm always kind of wide open to seeing what happens. But honestly, most of the stuff that I've done, including my career, has not been based in some rigid strategy. Mm-hmm. It's been that I'll say, you know what, I'm going to write just because I feel like writing. Yeah. And I don't stop, even if I don't have the expectation for it. There's a value in kind of listening to yourself and without putting the pressure, just doing the thing that feels right will sometimes lead you to the strategic partner or the life that you want.
Yeah. Oh, that's my whole last 20 years right there bottled up. Those my grace years. I have really fully experienced and lived that wholeheartedly. So I can attest to that. That's beautiful. Luvvie, the last question, how did you celebrate and how are you celebrating these days to pat yourself on the back and say, salute, you go girl, you got this?
I'm getting through my tour. I actually haven't had a chance to pause to really celebrate. I will in a bit, but right now finishing the tour, kind of making sure that people know this book dropped because as much as it's been everywhere, there's still people who don't realize it's out. Mm-hmm. And, I will take a deep breath in a few weeks to kind of celebrate and rest and chill in the accomplishment of it all.
That's so good. That's so good. Make sure you eat some good rice.
Absolutely.
Hug your hubby tight, celebrate with the friends, and get some good sleep. Okay, Luvvie, I'm giving away 10 copies to our community. So anyone who wants the first 10, actually, let me clarify, the first 10 to send us an email at welcome@thegreatgirlfriends.com. We've got some copies of the book waiting for you. We're so happy to celebrate and amplify this message and make sure that, everyone has this manual. I look at it as a manual. It's a really great reference book that my daughter can pick up when she's ready. And Absolutely. That her daughter can pick up. It's a heritage piece. So thank you for writing something that has legacy to it and power for the generations. That is what we need.
Thank you so much for seeing it.
Oh, honey, you did that. You did that wholeheartedly. And the Great Girlfriends, we are celebrating with you, cheering you forward. And we are truly grateful for you being a professional or the professional troublemaker.
Appreciate you so much.
Great Girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast, into the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group, The Great Girlfriends. You follow us on Instagram @The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter @the_great GFS. Last but not least, we'd like to thank my amazing husband, Kwaku, Sam and Dilly, and all of you for being a part of the global community that makes us so strong. Please remember to share with your friends. Keep listening and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.